Are you ready to learn a little bit more about Connecticut's history? I'm excited for today. We've already gone over quite a few things. Um, what type of map is this? Do you remember? This is a political map. Hopefully you said a political map. And a physical map would be the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, maybe national parks. Can you tell me what is our state bird for Connecticut? It is the robin. You got it. The flower, the mountain laurel, and our motto, he who's transplanted still sustains, or qui transtulit sustanet. And our song is Yankee Doodle. Good job. Today we're going to be talking about our tree and our flag. Now for this, around page 15, you can actually go outside if you have permission and go find an oak tree leaf. So you can go pull off an oak leaf. And you know, I think from science class, what our oak tree leaves look like. But today we're going to talk about the charter oak. Our state tree for Connecticut is the charter oak tree. And it looks just like this, the charter oak tree. This is a really cool story, and I think some of you might remember from when we went to the State Museum. But there is a story, and it's called The Legend of the Charter Oak Tree, and I'm going to read a little bit to you about that today. The legend behind the tree began back in 1662. So King Charles II of England granted the Connecticut General Assembly a royal charter. And a royal charter was just a document that said you have the ability to be self-governed and elect your own officials without England telling you how to run things. They have their own freedom for their state, so they were given this. Now, this served as their state's law for 25 years. Then, in 1687, King James II tried to say in his dominion of England or New England, he wanted to say that he was in charge of Connecticut. But remember, King Charles II had already given them their charter. So James said, Sir Edmund Andrews, he said, I want you to go as governor of this region. Well, when Andros arrived in Hartford, he came to take away the treaty. Or the charter that Governor Treat refused to surrender. So he came, Edmund Andros, and said, give me the charter, and Treat refused to give it to him. So as a result, the king called for a meeting. Now the meeting was actually most likely held on Halloween, and it was in this meeting house that stood on the site of the old state house. So right where we had our field trip, not this year but last year. And you guys did the play. Some of you were involved in that. And according to the legend, they were meeting and they were in this candlelit room, and all of a sudden in the middle of the meeting, the candles went out. And when the candles went out, when they lit them back up, all of a sudden the charter was missing. So, according to this, it was supposedly given to Captain Wadsworth, and Captain Wadsworth ran and handed it to a spy who went and hid it in a tree. Okay, so he hid it in like the hollow of an oak tree, and then Andros came back to England without the charter because it went missing. But that didn't stop King James II, from seizing control of Connecticut. Though when William and Mary became king and queen right after King James, they gave back control of Connecticut. And we started using the charter because all of a sudden we knew where the charter was. And due to the preceding event, the tree became known as the charter oak tree because we hid the charter in the oak tree, and it was a symbol of our freedom. So this was kept until 1856. So it was in 1687 that this started. Then about 200 years later, a little bit less than 200 years later, there was a really bad storm and the tree actually fell over. It was thought to be actually 1,000 years old, or over 1,000 years old tree, and about 21 feet in circumference. So remember the circumference, the distance around the tree. So it's about 21 feet wide. Now this is kind of funny, but they actually held a funeral for the tree. I thought you guys would think that's pretty interesting. They put a flag, they draped it over the tree, and the people gave speeches for it, and the church bells tolled. They had a parade for it. And actually what they did with the tree, once it fell over, they actually carved a charter oak chair. They made a few things out of the wood once it fell over to preserve the charter oak tree. But I thought you would find that pretty interesting about the legend of the charter oak tree. So, this is our charter oak tree and the story behind that. Now let's go to our flag. Our flag has a blue background, has a dark blue background, and it actually has the motto on it. So do you remember our motto? Our motto is Qui Transtulit Sustinet, or Sustinet. And so that is like a banner at the bottom. And then there's a shield on it. And the shield is actually the same as the seal. The shield and the seal are pretty much the same, the design on them. And I will talk a little bit more about the seal tomorrow, but I will show you today. So someone drew this for me right here. This is the flag. They made it a little bit lighter blue, but it's mostly a navy blue. And then we cut out this seal. So if you want to draw this, you can try to draw this. First you draw a shield. Then you see that there are three grapevines with grapes on them. And then you can see that at the bottom there is the motto, Qui Transtulit Sustinet. We'll talk more about the seal and the meaning tomorrow. And it's really cool, but the grapes are kind of like from a biblical perspective, and just like our motto, Qui Transtulit Sustinet. So hopefully you learned something today, the legend of the charter oak, and there's actually a monument for the charter oak in Hartford if you go there, if you ever want to visit. But that's all for today.